Science! Welcome everybody to another Dills Hearthstone League match. We have entered officially into week number 4. And tonight we have a match between Clynch and codemonkey. Clynch, of course, has already been on stream. I believe codemonkey has as well. Two very good players. I expect a pretty fun match. Clynch is bringing Mage, Warlock, and Warrior, and his Shaman has been banned. So still, lots of Shamans in the bans there. And codemonkey will be bringing Druid, Rogue, and Warrior. And guess what? His Shaman has also been banned. I want to go ahead and let the players know that they can start when ready. And we will get this match underway. I'm really looking forward to this one. For anybody who doesn't know, today was the 200th episode of The Angry Chicken. We had quite a fun time. And now I'm excited to go ahead and come in and cast a little Hearthstone. We had guest Yong Wu on, so if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't know what I'm talking about, The Angry Chicken is the podcast I do with Jocelyn and Garrett, and we did our 200th episode. Yong Wu, one of the devs for Team 5, was on. You guys can check that out on youtube.com/amovetv, and should be one of the most recent videos. It was a lot of fun. All right, so we got Clynch will be on the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and start spectating now. And as soon as we get in there, we will get going. So I'm curious to see what type of Druid codemonkey is bringing. If it's going to be just a standard, just a Jade Druid, or if he's got something else up his sleeve. We have seen other people bringing the...
Your soul shall be mine.
Can't spectate. Can't seem to spectate codemonkey just yet, so we'll see if maybe he's got that turned off. It's possible that he does. It's pretty easy to forget that it's in here. There we go. All right, let's see if we can do it now. Looks like we're good to go. Okay, we see the full hands. All right. So we've got, looks like a zoo deck actually for Clynch here, and that's pretty cool. We haven't seen the zoo deck in a long time, but I think it can really make a comeback now, as the pirate opener has been significantly hampered by the fact that they lost out on the small-time Buccaneer, which was making some of their earlier starts, like Void Walkers and things, just obsolete, right? But now, Possessed Villager, Argent Squire, Void Walker, these all contest these little 1/1s, and there's no more 3/2, right? That comes out on turn 1, on top of, you know, a weapon and a 1/1 with charge and another 1/1, and just those early pirate openers were so incredibly powerful and fast that they actually made it so that 3/2s for 1, which was a staple of Zoo forever, were suddenly no good. Chillmaw, Deathwing seem like the possible picks here. You see that a 7-drop is already in codemonkey's hand with the Curator, so could go with the Deathwing, but decides to take the Chillmaw. I don't mind that pick at all. Chillmaw is a very powerful card in the Dragon Warrior list, and this is like a Dragon Pirate Warrior combo with Curator, so able to actually get a little bit of value into the late game. And there is that 1-mana 3/2 I spoke of, which was getting overrun by the Pirates and just made Zoo, you know, a class that could not compete anymore. Interesting spot here for Clynch. He could go for the Coin Darkshire Councilman. That is what he chooses to do. With 3 1-drops in hand going into turn 3, this is a card that either gets dealt with or grows out of control real fast. However, we do see the pickup of Alex Strauss's Champion. And Alex Strauss's Champion right now is going to help deal with this 1/5 Councilman very easily. Alex Strauss's Champion is just such a powerful card. Could also go for the Fiery War Axe, but I think getting the extra body on board, especially in a situation where it's going to retain 2 health and you get more value out of your Rusty Hook. All of his minions will survive, and codemonkey now has a commanding board presence. One of the problems with Zoo is if you fall behind on the board, you're basically just dropping minions and hoping that at some point they will trade favorably and you will be able to take the board. Zoo really plays very well from ahead, but struggles a little bit from behind because they don't run removal, they don't run things like Hellfire, they don't have, you know, just AoE. So all of their removal essentially comes from minions, and minions don't get to attack the turn they're played, right? So you drop it and you hope that good things happen. I'd be curious to see though if Clynch is running Finja and some Murlocs in this zoo deck, because that is one of the ways you can flip the board now. Okay, goes for the Sir Finley Murgleton and has a couple of interesting options here. Steady Shot against the Warlock is always an interesting pick just because it applies pressure and prevents them from being able to liberally use their life tap. Going to go for the Shapeshift instead, which does add value to weapons and, of course, gives a ping. Creating 1/1s is not quite as powerful, I think, as being able to just ping things. There is a Soulfire, so there's some sort of removal. But this would indicate probably that there's going to be things like discard mechanics, right? So the Silverware Golem, those types of things. I'm going to go ahead and use that life tap, and looks like we're going to see a couple of 1-drops hit the board. And this Imp Gang Boss will be able to take out the 3/2 and create another 1/1 and still live. So this is actually a potential for Clynch to be able to turn this game back around. That being said, codemonkey is still kind of curving into really powerful cards. Could just choose to drop an Azure Drake this turn if he wants to. 3 attacks here. The 1/1 will die, but the other 2 minions will both live. And does still have dragons in hand, but it could also just go for Fiery War Axe to start getting a bunch of cleaner trades to try to clean the board up before things like Curator and Draconid hit. Also with the hero power, does get a little bit of that life back. Now we're gonna have to see if codemonkey decides to clean off this Imp Gang Boss or just remove the other 2 1/1s. I actually don't mind. There's a lot of different options here. I don't think any of them are necessarily wrong. It just kind of depends on how much value you feel like you need to get out of these minions. I like this a lot. This leaves only 1 minion with 1 attack left on the board, and that's a really good position here for codemonkey to be in. Clynch does have Dark Peddler, Direwolf Alpha, and Flame Imp if he chooses on this turn, and that's a lot of minions to spam onto the board on turn 5. As well as drawing a card, buffing up minions. It seems like it's probably what we're going to see here. Another Voidwalker, actually. Voidwalker seems actually better than Flame Imp in this particular situation because it would soak an attack from that Fiery War Axe. So with the Direwolf here, remove the 1/2, and you can put the Voidwalker next to the Direwolf. And that's exactly what we see. Another Fiery War Axe picked up. There is no way that I can see to get Clynch down to 15 health to make his Draconid Crusher a 9/9. That being said, he doesn't really need to put a 9/9 on the board. A 6/6 would do quite a lot on its own. I'm going to go with the Azure Drake instead, trying to make sure that at some point in the future you can get that Draconid Crusher up. Draws a Corcoran Elite, another very powerful card. Not going to be able to remove the Direwolf, however. So you could go for Darkshire, Flame Imp, Soulfire. I feel like I like that. You lose a Defender of Argus. Oh, gonna go ahead and... Okay. Potentially thinking that it doesn't want to lose the... Doesn't want to even play the Flame Imp, I'm guessing. Okay. Doesn't want to play the Flame Imp. A little bit concerned about going below 15 health. And that's fair, for sure. Although I think you can't really play scared as the zoo player. Your health is a resource, right? So you pretty much need to just start utilize that health. It is one of your most valuable resources. It allows you to draw more cards. It allows you to play 3/2s that cost 1 mana. And as long as you're not completely on the back foot, you end up pushing through most of the time. This is a really strong play here, though. So if you play... Oh, this is tough. If you play the Voidwalker here, you can then use the Darkshire Councilman. I guess you just run all your stuff in. Yeah, you just run all your stuff in and Voidwalker Doomguard afterwards. Or actually, run all your stuff in, Flame Imp, Voidwalker, and then Doomguard afterwards, I think. I don't think you can worry about saving your stuff here. The strongest possible play onto the board is just sack everything and then use all 7 mana. But it looks like, again, avoiding to play that Flame Imp, doesn't want that 3/2 to deal 3 damage to himself. I gotta think that's not totally correct, but I understand the thought process behind it. I do think, though, that your health has just got to be utilized as a resource. Having a 3-2 on the board here is pretty valuable. Especially, I mean, now you'd have 8-9 damage represented. And you'd be 8 damage short of actually finishing the game out. Curator going to come down. And let's see. There's a Fierce Monkey, so potential to draw lots and lots of cards. And a South Sea Deckhand just to get another 2-1 down. That's a fantastic draw. And now you can actually just kill the... And another great draw. I mean, you can play all of this stuff out now. But yeah, can kill the Curator now in one fell swoop. And I think you probably do want to just get this Direwolf on the board. I wouldn't even mind going face here. You put it in the middle, yeah, and then just maybe just charge the face. Because if you charge face, you get him down to 14, and then you'd have 6, 9, 10, 11. You'd actually have 14 on board. So that would have potentially set up a lethal. Clynch can offer the safer play, though, of removing minions. But I personally am of the mindset that if I can get a game closer to being done, then I'm going to choose that pretty much every time. I feel like it's just a little more valuable to be able to try to end games and not prolong them especially when I have a board lead, right? But Clynch is taking what I would call the safer approach. Trying not to go down to a low enough life total that suddenly, like a Ragnaros, becomes a huge problem. Although Ragnaros would still be 2 hits away from finishing his life total. Alright, here comes a Frothing Berserker, Fiery War Axe, and a Corcoran Elite, and that's going to clean up quite a bit of the board. Really, really strong play, and this Frothing Berserker is going to require 2 attacks to get through. A Demon Fire, however, could change that equation. I think you're going to have to tap, though. Playing only 1 card this turn is not going to be enough. This is one of the issues, though. When you play this Zoo deck, you really can't be afraid. Alright, so going to go ahead, Demon Fire. You want to attack face with a 3-3 first. And then use the 2-2. Yeah. And then you play the Darkshire Librarian. Good sequencing there. I really like that Clynch did just bite the bullet and go for the tap. You really need to. Both players are running very low on their life totals now. So it's really just a matter of who can get the remaining bit of damage out of their board. And Clynch obviously has the minions on board right now. That being said, a Fierce Monkey is going to be very strong, especially if it can protect a 9-9. So you've got options here. You can go Twilight Guardian 9-9. That's probably even better. Yeah, a 3-6 is better than a 3-4. I'm pretty sure. I didn't even actually notice it in the far right part of the hand, but it's the problem with upside down hands in the spectator mode. Gonna play the 9-9 and then hit face, which I really like to set up lethal with just the 9-9. Because if they can't Clynch can't get through both of these, there is a Crystal Weaver here in Clynch's deck. Oh, can't play both of these minions, and that's gonna do it. There's no way to remove everything. Although can run in the Darkshire Librarian to draw 1 more card. See what comes out of that. It is a Silver Golem, which will hit the board when he Doom Guards, but it's not going to save him from a 9-9 smashing face. So I think game 1 is going to codemonkey, finding a win with the Pirate Dragon Warrior. A very aggressive tempo-based warrior that also has a little bit of value on the back end with the Curator. So a really, really strong deck. Codemonkey's going to go ahead and take the lead. Let's update that score. Codemonkey up 1-0. Going into game number 2 now. Codemonkey's left with Druid and Rogue. And Clynch still has the Mage, the Warlock that we know is a discard zoo style Warlock and a Warrior of his own. If you're expecting Rogue and Druid from Codemonkey to be Miracle Rogue and likely some sort of a Jade slower Druid, I think the Warrior is probably Clynch's best option here.
Gul'dan versus Valera.
Watch your back.
Your soul shall be mine.
Clynch is, however, going to stick with this Zoo deck. And Code Monkey is using
Pleasure is mine.
what looks to be Miracle Rogue, because we do see a Fan of Knives. Don't often see Fan of Knives in aggressive Rogue decks or preparations. Clynch actually has a fairly fast start here, can coin out 2 1-drops. Chooses again, though, not to use the coin. I personally prefer using the coin very liberally when I play Zoo. If I have 2 1-drops into a 2 into a 3, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I think what Clynch's plan is here is to coin Imp Gang Boss into Imp Gang Boss, which is very powerful for sure. So I don't necessarily disagree with that play. I'm just a different style player when I play Zoo, I think. But coin 3 into 3 when they're both Imp Gang Bosses is a very powerful sequence. Code Monkey currently has no easy way to deal with that. Maybe considering a sap on one of these. I don't know. Sapping a Gang Boss doesn't feel great, but right now nothing right in Code Monkey's hand feels great. I mean, the dagger on the 1/1 is fine. But just go for the dagger there and then re-dagger. But gonna consider backstabbing. Looks like we're gonna see a backstab fan and then an attack. What you want to do is attack with the weapon first. Code Monkey sequences this properly. So you attack with the weapon first, and then Clynch will be left with a single 1/1. So I don't mind that as well. I think that's a pretty solid way to deal with the board.
Incredible.
Okay, well, here comes another Imp Gang Boss. So if you thought you were out of the woods, Code Monkey, I'm afraid you were wrong. Double Undercity Huckster, however. Gonna be a lot of value gained from these, even if they're not the greatest tempo cards in the world. Now, if you're Clynch, you're looking at probably dropping Dark Peddler into double Voidwalker. Going through the options, though. And Mortal Coil seems pretty powerful when you have... Yeah, there's a 1/1 on board right now, so you can go ahead and use that. Get this board clear and draw another card. And the Direwolf Alpha, also a pretty strong card. I like putting the Voidwalker on the far right. Gonna go ahead and just attack face instead of clearing this 2/2, however. That I find a little bit interesting, because now the 2/2 in the weapon will contest this Voidwalker. And we'll contest it for free, so... I don't know if I agree with that particular sequence there. There's a Mistress of Mixtures here in Code Monkey's deck. That is an interesting card, but I can see it as a way to combat early pirate pressure and put a little bit of healing into a Miracle Rogue deck that doesn't often have great healing options. So that's an interesting tech choice. If you expect a lot of aggro pirates when you're facing down the DHL, this does have some merit for sure. And a Jade Swarmer, so I completely just did not know what type of deck this was. This is Miracle Jade. Potentially there's N'Zoth in there as well, but you do use the Gadget and Auctioneer to cycle through to all those cards. So rather than running things like a Leroy Coldblood combination to finish the game off, you run N'Zoth and a bunch of Death Rattles. And that's how you finish the game off, with a bunch of Jade Swarmers and Undercity Hucksters, Tomb Pillagers, those types of cards. Not a deck we've seen so far in the DHL, so kind of excited to see something different. Options here are a little odd. You go with Defender of Argus to make this Imp Gang Boss a 3/5. Seems pretty strong. You can start clearing things and making 1/1s. You can also run something in first and then make it a 3. So it'll take 2. It'll be a 2/2 and then make it a 3/3. You can go either way. I don't think it really matters.
My shield for Argus.
So people in chat are asking, does Jade Road run N'Zoth? I think it does if they're running double Undercity Huckster for sure. If they're only running Jade Swarmers, they don't necessarily have to. But if they're running Undercity Hucksters, it's likely that we're going to see a N'Zoth in here as well. Generally, the other version can still run N'Zoth because resummoning Jade Swarmers is really powerful to kind of finish off. Rogues get less Jade cards than Shamans and Druids, so they have to get a lot more value out of these Jade Swarmers. This is a great draw, though. Unearthed Raptor is exactly what you want. You want to hit Jade Swarmers with your Raptors. That being said, if Code Monkey were to use that card now, there wouldn't be great options as far as the rest of the turn. I think sapping the Imp Gang Boss that's been buffed, though, has got to be pretty strong. There's a Malchezaar's Imp. That at least gives you another... You can actually utilize all of your mana here. So you can play the Malchezaar's Imp, the Raptor, and sap the 3/5 all in one turn.
Choose soon.
And I think sapping this 3/5 has to be the play. But no, just going to go for a dagger instead. Going to let that 3/5 get a lot of value. I really like cleaning up that 3/5 because that's just going to cause many problems. So you can play Direwolf Alpha, Argent Squire, and Librarian or Soulfire, but one of these is going to discard the other. So considering going for the Soulfire first. And Soulfire the 3/4 first. Looks like loses the Librarian. So now has room for a tap. Oh, and there's a Malchezaar's Imp. If that had been in the hand a second ago, that would have been really nice. Still can play the Direwolf Alpha, though. And an Argent Squire or a Malchezaar's Imp. And rather than cleaning up the board and protecting the Direwolf, just going to go ahead and push more face damage. I mean, I think at this point now, sap's got to feel pretty good, right? Gadgets and prep sap. Yep, now we're going to see it. The Gadgets and prep sap cycling twice. There's an Aya. Eviscerate as well. You can prep Evis something else if you like. Cycling further through the deck. And I think you want to just cycle as much as you can while you have this Auctioneer in play. And there's... Oh my god, that's an even better draw. The Jade Shuriken will summon a Golem as well as clean up anything that the Abyss would have cleaned up. And codemonkey is grabbing a fairly large board lead here again against the Zoo deck. And the Zoo deck is just not able to build boards fast enough against any of the decks that codemonkey's bringing. I definitely like trading with that, and I don't think you need to concern yourself with the 1/1 so much. Maybe using the weapon to pop the shield is a good idea, though. Just to make sure that it doesn't... I'm just going to hold back on the weapon hit, though. Imp Gang Boss, Malchezaar's Imp, and a Demon Fire. It's an awkward hand. 6 mana worth of stuff on turn 5. So Demon Fire plus Direwolf Alpha will clean up the Auctioneer. But then you're left with putting a Malchezaar's Imp on the board, and Clynch may hold it back because it doesn't get any sort of value. However, I kind of like just playing it to force at least an attack. But just going to hold it back, and there is Jade Spirit. So this is just an all-in Jade deck with some death rattles. Very interesting build here from codemonkey. I mean, you could go for Tomb Pillager and Jade Spirit on this turn. You could also go for Aya Blackpaw and a Redagger. Aya Blackpaw is just a great card to get out there as soon as you can. Also, holding back these 4s allows you to have something to do with your Azure Drake on turn number 9. So it's kind of an interesting spot here. We'll see what codemonkey decides to go for. I definitely like... interesting. Just valuing 1 life over a minion. I'm not sure about that. I think at 19 against the Zoo deck, you're not worried about sudden death. I think I would have preferred to keep minions on board rather than hold back on the stagger swing. And no great options here. Malchezaar's Imps are just not doing much when there's no discard cards in the hand. Gonna have to play a Flame Imp just because it's a 3/2. And Clynch is just losing control of this board every single turn. And codemonkey continues to draw incredibly strong cards. There is a Edwin Van Cleef. That being said, there's not a lot of awesome ways to... But I think this might just be lethal with 5 damage. Yeah, 5, 10, 13, 15, 19, 20 with the dagger. And that's going to do it. Game number 2. Also going to codemonkey on that Death Rattle Jade Rogue. Really, really interesting deck there. And Clynch is struggling now to find a way to get a win with this Zoo deck. There is now a Druid remaining for codemonkey. We'll see if clinch holds strong on that zoo deck. But unable to just get an early enough board lead and hold it. And I've got to say, it's possible maybe that clinch is playing a little bit too conservatively with the druid deck, or with the zoo deck right now. You really kind of want to spam, you know? You want to just get minions on the board, utilize that life tap to keep drawing cards, and get in there. And we see a patron deck here from clinch. This is some cool stuff, guys. This is some really cool stuff. I'm hoping that this patron deck can get a win here against the druid. Without the ability to OTK with Frothing Berserkers anymore, though, patron is much more of a board control deck that chips away. But this is very cool. I mean, we see, okay, Battle Rage, Whirlwind, Sir Finley Murgleton. These are all some strong options in the opening hand here of clinch. Codemonkey's running Gadget Sand and Raven Idols with Jade, so looks to me like a cycling type of Jade deck. One thing I will say is that if clinch can get a big board of patrons out, Codemonkey will have no way to deal with that. Alright, we're going to get this stupid druid bug every single time, so I'm going to leave the game and come back into it here. I really dislike that there's still a lot of bugs in the spectator mode 3 years after it's been released. A bug like this makes things difficult. Alright. Problem is, next time, if he uses a Wrath here, it's going to happen too. Codemonkey deciding whether it's worth it to Wrath this Finley Murgleton. Could even decide to just Wrath for cycle here. And here we go again. Didn't happen that time. What do you know? Well, did pick up the Fire Blast, and Fire Blast is a fantastic tool to add patrons onto the board. We see there is a Leroy and a Ragnaros, so there is plenty of reach here in clinch's Warrior Patron deck here. And I really like the, I think I like this matchup. I think there's definitely a lot of potential here to do some cool stuff. Just going to drop the Armor Smith. And right now we do see like Swipe, Wrath, Feral Rage, lots of removal options in Codemonkey's hand. So it is possible that Codemonkey will be able to deal with the first round of patrons. Interesting call here. Going to go for the Jade Idol and the Feral Rage and just remove this Armor Smith. Does not want to let clinch build up a bunch of armor. And I think if you're Codemonkey, you'd be wondering a little bit about what deck this is that you're up against when they just drop an Armor Smith on you like that. And I think if you're clinch, you're deciding whether it's worth it to go ahead and play this Azure Drake. You don't have the coin anymore, but I think it is worth it because you want to cycle through the deck a little bit. There is a Frothing Berserker. So a lot of threats now built up in the hand of clinch, and clinch is going to be able to come around turn 7 or 8, build up a decent board of patrons, at least 4 patrons. You got the Grim Patron, the Ping, and the Whirlwind. I think if you're Codemonkey, you're deciding now whether you want to utilize a Wrath or a Swipe to get rid of this Azure Drake. There is the option as well to just play your own Azure Drake. But it feels bad to leave Azure Drake up in any scenario. That being said, warriors aren't known for having a whole bunch of weapons. Or I mean, spells, excuse me. Like, what would you use if you're a warrior? I guess maybe you'd be worried about like a bash or something here.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, bash would be a little bit scary. And here we go again. Never-ending bug. Okay. I'm gonna start telling people to stop bringing Druid to the DHL. Till they fix this. Fix it. Fix it, Blizzard. Alright. Back in the game. Back in the action. Drops the Frothy Berserker. Pings the 1/1. And Codemonkey is now basically on every single turn had to use removal rather than develop their own board.
I wonder.
And I think if you're Code Monkey, you're kind of sad about this. You want to be playing Jade stuff, right? You want to be building up. And right now, Code Monkey's only got his Jade Golems to 2/2s on the next play. And by the time it's turn 6, without ramping, without buffing your Jades very much, it feels like you're just falling behind. With another Azure Drake drawn here, that seems like the right play. And there's another patron as well. And we are coming up on the turns where clynch will start to be able to utilize the patrons with the whirlwind and the ping to make quite a stiff board. And Code Monkey has now used both Wraths, Feral Rage, and the swipe. So all of the removal that Code Monkey had in hand is now all gone. And now deciding whether to play Nourish. Problem with Nourish here is Nourish just doesn't develop to the board. And so you're still just giving the board to clynch here. And yeah, goes for Nourish to draw cards. There's another swipe. Another swipe and a Living Roots. So there is some more removal options. And there's a Blood to Ichor as well, so you could start... Well, no, unfortunately right now the spell power is hurting clynch more than it's helping him. There are some interesting options here, though. You could just play one Grim Patron and ping it. But I don't mind this play either. This is kind of nice. You create a 2/2, you draw an extra card. There's a Ravaging Ghoul. You can drop an Acolyte of Pain. Start cycling quite a bit here pretty soon. And at any moment, clynch is going to pop off. And this board is going to be full of patrons.
I got the best deals anywhere.
Gadget's Hand coming down. This is the second Jade Idol, so we're likely to see this one cycled. But can cycle this and then Living Roots off the Azure Drake. I think I like starting with the Living Roots because the next card you draw, you don't want it to be a Jade Idol. And Code Monkey does sequence this properly. That's a really heads-up play there by Code Monkey. These are the small types of things that can really make the difference between, you know, a few percentage points on your win rate. Yeah, if you cycle these Jade Idols in first and then you Living Roots, you give yourself a chance to draw another Jade Idol right away, and that might not be what you want. Is this going to be the turn where we see the first round of patrons hit the board? It would make a lot of sense, as you can go off with patrons right now. In fact, you don't even have to use the Inner Rage. You can just use a ping in its place. A ping and a whirlwind would do basically the same thing. Gonna go for the Inner Rage though instead. Here comes the whirlwind. Although this, what I do like about this is it leaves the ping for the Gadget and Auctioneer. But either way, the ping and the, yeah, so it didn't really matter. Either way, he was going to be using that. So this was actually preferred just because it made your own guy a 5/1. So actually, clynch did the right thing there. Inner Rage was objectively better than the ping on your own guy because you're going to use the ping on the Auctioneer. But I was thinking one of the options you could use is the Acolyte would run into the Auctioneer with the 2/1. So now if you're Code Monkey, you can Drake Swipe. And Drake Swipe probably is what he has to do. However, it's still going to leave behind a 3/1 patron and a fresh 3/3 patron. Very tough spot here for Code Monkey, but I think that is the only real option as far as minimizing the damage. Otherwise, it's just going to get out of control. Oh, wow. Actually, that's a huge draw. You can innervate first. Oh, no. Oh, God. Code Monkey's missing it. You can innervate first, or you can Living Roots one of the 3/3s first, and then swipe the other 3/3, and you'd actually leave behind 0 patrons. That was a slight misstep there by Code Monkey. Could have actually cleared the entire board of patrons by using the Living Roots first because it had 3 attack because of the spell power of the Azure Drake. They'd have to do that first on one of the 3/3s, and then the spell damage on the spell damage swipe on the other 3/3 would clear the rest of the board entirely. Either way, this This was likely to happen, and that's Ragnaros the Fire Lord smashing him in the face for 8 damage. The Code Monkey's been doing some amazing sequencing this entire match, and one tiny misplay actually meant that the Ragnaros was able to guarantee 8 damage to the face because you could utilize the remaining patrons to clear. And with no mulch in hand here, Code Monkey looks like it's just going to go wide on the board, dropping double Jade Spirits and a Jade Idol. However, there's lots of whirlwind effects here. Are there enough to remove everything? I believe that there's almost enough. I think you're going to leave up 1 minion here. You can run the 2/2 into the 4/4.
No.
You can run the 2/2 into the 4/4, and then you can Grim Patron, Ravaging Ghoul, and Whirlwind. And that would clear everything but the 3/3s, and then you could interrage one of the 3/3s. Oh, the Whirlwind definitely goes first because you want to keep your Ravaging Ghoul unharmed. Yep, and then you interrage the 3/1 and give yourself a nice chance here for this Rag to do something good. Hey, Rag cleans up another 2/1, and I think Code Monkey is out of ways to remove patrons. I mean, even if Code Monkey had sequenced the other turn properly and gotten rid of all the patrons, it wouldn't have had any way to deal with this second round, right? So Patron Warrior looks like it's going to pick up a win in 2017. And that is pretty cool, I must say. Can clear 1 patron and then another patron with a hero power. But 2 3/3 patrons will remain on the board, plus a Ragnaros. And that's just bad news, man. That is just bad news. You can give yourself a nice 50-50 to either win the game, or well, actually, no, you can win 100% of the time because the execute is in hand. So you just go ahead and ping execute, and that is GG. So Clynch is going to go ahead and get a game back with the Patron Warrior. And that is pretty exciting, man. Haven't seen Patron in a long time. We did see, I think it was Hot Meowth or somebody bring one to the BlizzCon prelims last year with Blood Warriors and completely failed to pick up any victories. So kind of nice to see somebody bring Patron and have it actually work out. So Clynch still does have that Zoo deck, and we have not seen the Mage deck yet. However, the Mage deck, if it's a Reno Mage, has a really tough time beating a slow Jade Druid like that, because the Jade Druid is just going to build up their Jade count, and the Mage, unless they can put a lot of pressure on, is not going to be able to win the game. So if it's a tempo Mage, then that's a decent matchup. But Clynch might be in a lot of trouble whether or not he can get a win with this Warlock. However, I do like this matchup. If you can apply pressure quickly and throws back the Direwolf Alpha almost immediately. That's an odd throwback. I think I would have liked to see that one kept because it does allow you to play a 1 into a 2. Does have 1 into double 1/1. And here we see that Crystal Weaver, which is a very interesting card, but there are a fair amount of demons in this deck, and if you can hit just 1 demon with it, it's actually a pretty strong card. Yeah, this should be a matchup that favors the Zoo deck fairly well. So yeah, here we go. We're going to get the Druid bug again here, because anytime you have to stop and choose one, it's going to do that for a while. We'll be popping in and out one more time. Unfortunately, I'm sorry guys. I know this is not ideal, but not much I can do about it other than offer up my coding expertise, of which I have none. Okay. Hopefully there won't be too many more choose one cards, but here we see another Raven Idol, so whoops. Coining out the Jade Blossom, I think, is definitely the proper play here. Get the ramp going as quickly as possible. Now we see Direwolf Alpha and Malchezaar's Imp. I think you just play your hand out, but gonna go ahead and do the life tap instead. I think I think in this particular situation, I would like to see clynch just be ultra aggressive. Play out this Malchezaar's Imp. Just continue to apply pressure, but holds it back again. That's another demon for your Crystal Weaver. I don't understand why he's being so conservative. These cards should really all be hitting the board. When you're playing Zoo, you really want to use all of your mana every single turn. The Druid matchup, Druid doesn't have massive board clears. Swipe is the only thing they have, and Swipe would hit this Flame Imp anyway. So I really, really like to, when I'm playing Zoo, to just play it all. Just all my mana gets dumped onto the board every single turn. Well, Crystal Weaver, see, Crystal Weaver is now your best play, but there's one less minion on the board for it to hit. So you actually just lost. You lost the +1/+1 worth of value here.
Total power!
So you can run the 4/3 into the 2/2 and the 2/4 and the 1/1 into the 3/3, but instead just going to push face damage. Technically, you could say this plays around Swipe, but doesn't quite, because now you can still run the 3/3 into the 5/4 and Swipe and then Hero Power to clear the entire board. So in a way, you know, the non-trades did net him some damage, but so Innervate is the pickup. Codemonkey does now have the swirling green of annoyance again. So interesting there, instead of utilizing the living or the hero power, we're going to use up a living roots here and go this way, which is, it does allow him to keep the Jade Golem. So the Jade Golem remains on board, and that is actually pretty important. Imp Gang Boss could go for a Demon Fire here, and does. We're going to step back in and out. Zoo is an interesting deck because forever it got a reputation as a brain dead deck that took no thought process at all, but the reality is, compared to things like the current iteration of Pirate Warrior, which basically bashes your face in all the time, Zoo had quite a lot of decision making because it required you to position things properly, figure out where to place buffing minions like Direwolf Alpha, and find the best ways to deal with certain situations. And that was an interesting attack there. It gave clynch effectively one more damage this turn, which now does allow clynch to get through this 3/6. So another slight misplay, I believe, from Codemonkey. Would have been better for his board position to not have made that attack, because the 1/1 that comes out, essentially he gave it charge. The 1/1 would have come out either way off of the Jade Behemoth, right? Now, I do see the reasoning behind this. And again, I think clynch is right supposed to play this Malchezaar's Imp, but based on what we've seen clynch do, it looks like, okay, he is going to play it out this time. But yeah, essentially with that attack, what Codemonkey did was gave that Imp charge, which then allowed the 3/6 to die. And if it had not done that, if Codemonkey had not done that, based on clynch's hand, there would have been no way to get through the Jade Behemoth. However, Codemonkey's got a really strong turn here, playing the Gadgets and Auctioneer, and also the ability to innervate out another Jade Behemoth, deciding whether it's better to play the swipe instead, as you can swipe after attacking the Imp Gang Boss. But I like playing the Jade Behemoth as well. It gets you a 5/5, and it puts up a wall, and you can still make this attack. And this is the way that Codemonkey had to win this game, is draw all of the Jade stuff with some innervates and some ramp, and the double Jade Blossom is really what got us here. So can Soulfire for the free 3/3. Life taps and is just going to discard this Flame Imp, which I do not agree with, although I guess it does cycle a card. I think I would have liked a 3-2 over whatever other card you could draw that's cost 2 mana, but and here again, I think just play this Possessed Villager. But could just be thinking about board space here. But I think at this point, you just got to be all in. The Jade Golems are just getting bigger and bigger. They're not going to slow down. This swipe is going to be pretty massive here for codemonkey. He's just trying to figure out exactly where he's supposed to place it. I think the best bet is to throw it into the 3-3. That's exactly what codemonkey does. I think that was absolutely the proper place to put that. And then I think rather than hero power to clean the board up, I think, yeah, playing a Jade Spirit, which will summon a 6/6, is definitely better. There's a lot more value than hero powering and doing nothing else. codemonkey gonna thoroughly think things through. Make sure not to make any big mistakes. Does have 13 damage on board right now, so could just start sending all this face. With 5 damage facing him down, I don't think you're likely to be facing down lethal. You're gonna choose to clear the entire board and play this Jade Spirit. And I don't mind that at all, because that is how you lock down the Zoo's like Zoo has power because Zoo has minions on board and can utilize those minions and buff them. Mortal Coil will allow to draw, but I think you want to use that after you play your Possessed Villager and Doomguard. Or sorry, before. No, you want to use it now. Never mind. Okay. Soulfire for a 50-50? I don't see how you win if you don't do that. I don't see how you win at all. To be honest, I don't see how you win at all. Oh, he only had the 5 mana remaining. Never mind. I forgot to use the Mortal Coil. I thought he still had the 1 remaining mana and could take the 50-50 with the Soulfire, but after the Mortal Coil was down to only 5 mana. Well, has gotten codemonkey down to 11. And if there is Leroy Power Overwhelming or Leroy Soulfire remaining and can get 1 more damage from some other source, then it could be possible. That being said, none of these minions will be alive. I believe, does he just have lethal here? Feral Rage plus, that's 10, 17. Yeah, the Feral Rage is lethal. That's going to be GG, and codemonkey takes it. Getting the 3rd victory with the Druid. The Zoo was the one that lost all 3 games for clinch, unfortunately. And just could not find a way to close games out with that Zoo. Really well played by both players, though. There were a couple of slight, potential missteps. Some plays, though, that I think they saw that I saw in a different way, that maybe were just 2 different lines. So not necessarily those were misplays, but there was a couple of interesting ways, and I think it's just different theories on how to play different decks. But I think when you're playing against those certain matchups, it's generally better to be the aggressor when you're playing against a Jade deck that's just needs time, right? They want time, and you need to deny them that time. You need to shorten the game as much as possible to not allow them to get to the point where the Jades are 5/5s and 6/6s and 7/7s, because once they get there, there's just no coming back from that. Those Jades are just such great tools to fight back on the board, as well as pressuring your own life total, right? So really, really tricky matchup unless you can get that early pressure on and hope that they don't ramp as much as they do. So I think if Clinch's deck, 3rd deck, had not been Mage, we may not have seen him, because I'm going to guess it's Reno Mage. We may not have seen him queue up that Warlock one more time. But unfortunately wasn't able to pull out another victory or a single victory with that Warlock deck, and codemonkey's going to take it, moving to 3-1 on the season. It's going to drop clinch to 2-2, and that's a long climb back for clinch, and codemonkey is in a nice position to go on and make the top 8 playoffs. You've been watching Dills Hearthstone League Week 4 action. There's a lot more coming up this week, and I'm really excited to bring all of it to you. So thank you for watching. If you're catching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe to the channel.